Hey, good evening, everybody. How you doing? Welcome on in to the podcast, Medical Talk in Layman's Terms with Nurse Charlene. And tonight's topic, I'm excited, is diabetes. But I'm not excited because I don't like diabetes and stuff. But I'm excited because I'm talking about diabetes. This is my bread and butter and everything. And definitely just want to get on in here and stuff. And today is a special day for me. It is my mommy's birthday. Yes, yay. 72 years orbiting around the sun and everything. And just a beautiful lady. And I'm so glad that God blessed me with her. And definitely excited tonight and everything. It was a special request. I was going to come back in with some more hygiene topics and everything and stuff. But I felt like, yeah, this is something I can do, and everything. So definitely come on in and stuff. This is an interactive podcast. And here I love to hear the comments because it takes that little nerve and that little edginess off of getting on here, put myself out here, and stuff like that and everything. And for anybody that doesn't know me, my name is known as Nurse Charlene now and stuff. I've been a nurse for 21 consecutive years. That means, okay, in my Cat Williams voice, 1 year, and I ain't gonna say the other part and stuff after another, meaning 21 consecutive years. I am an active duty licensed registered nurse, and definitely that's not the only background I have. I have 32 years. It might even be 33 right now and stuff and in the healthcare field. So I've been a little bit of everything: medical assistant, certified nurse's aide, medical office manager, certified phlebotomist several times, a nurse tutor, you name it. I specialize in probably about 18, 19 different specialties and everything over my years. So I put in some work. So even though I talk about medical professionals and I'm about to do my podcast disclaimer so that I can continue to give you some good stuff, it kind of explains it all and why I can keep on coming on here giving you some good stuff and everything. So again, I say welcome on into Medical Talk in Layman's Terms with Nurse Charlene. And tonight's topic is diabetes, a special request from the birthday girl. All right, so I'm going to read my podcast disclaimer. Come on in and stuff and feel free to start putting in your comments and everything and stuff because we own and popping now and stuff. Welcome in, Arlita. Welcome in, Terrellyn. You guys are wonderful. Thank you for joining me and stuff. And at any time, no sentence or comment or remark is too small or I'm not going to say nothing. No, you come on in and get comfortable. Welcome in, Mary. Yes, I want to see you ladies and stuff. And I got the new little thing like right where it say God, amen and stuff, where you could kind of see your own comments and stuff coming on in and stuff like that. And I appreciate all of you guys coming on in and stuff to check me out and stuff and just hang out with me for about an hour and 15 minutes. Let's see what happens and stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and read my podcast disclaimer. So it goes like this. The podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not intended to replace professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. That's very important. Always consult your physician for any medical concerns. Got to talk to your doctor. They get paid. Okay. If you have questions about a medical condition, reach out to a qualified healthcare professional. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay seeking it because of something you heard on this podcast or any other podcast or informational giver or whatever and stuff. Never delay in seeking real professional where you know the person and the credentials in order to get to that other side. Okay. Guest views are their own and may not reflect the views of the host or this podcast. I'm the host, Nurse Charlene, and stuff. So the information shared is for general knowledge, just to put you a little bit further than you were before you got on. And if you are, already an expert, hey, teach me something, because I'm willing to learn. I'm humble enough to learn and everything. It should not be used for any legal or medical purposes. So yeah, I can't be in your lawsuit and stuff. But good luck. Okay. And last but not least, always consult with a licensed professional who knows your medical history for a meaningful evaluation. And always stay informed, but always seek professional medical advice when it comes to your health. That's the safest thing you can do. You want to stay alive, right? So you're not going to go to a mechanic and ask them about your setup here, so you're going to go to the mechanic of medical for your body. And for your car, you go to the mechanic. So, that's how I'm doing it and stuff. Welcome on in, Auntie Josie. Yes, thank you guys. And so tonight's topic is diabetes. So, I've taught diabetes from this way and that way and all these different ways and stuff like that. But each time I get a little bit more. So I'm going to be reading from two different areas. So you might see me look down for a minute and stuff, because I want to pick the best I can for you when I'm on here and stuff, because I don't want to waste your time, but I don't want to waste my time either. I've been researching, but I over research so that I have more than enough content to take me through the hour and, couple minutes after and stuff like that. And that's because I want to give you good stuff, because you might just save your own life or someone else's life that's close to you, or even your neighbors or something like that, by just seeing certain things. So I'm gonna give you basic stuff like symptoms and stuff like that, so that oh, that's what that is, or something like that, because you just never know what you're walking around with. I never know what I'm walking around with, and I'm a nurse and stuff. But now I make sure that I'm informed, so that I do know a little bit more, because I'm going to question myself. If it's me, I'm going to question me. If it's you, I'm going to question you. I'm not going to just tell you, girl, it is this. No, I don't know what it is. I'm going to be just like the doctor. I'm going to investigate and everything. So if that makes sense, hey, welcome to Medical Talk in Layman's Terms with Nurse Charlene. Our topic tonight is diabetes. Come on in. It's interactive. I get all pumped up and proud and stuff when y'all get in and get to talking to me and stuff like that. And, anything, testimonials and all that stuff, I welcome them all and everything and stuff. So I'm going to give you some definitions, because it's medical talk in layman's terms, meaning keep it simple. Keep so that anybody that doesn't even have a medical background of any sort or any medical condition can understand and be able to, figure out or find something useful in it and everything. So this part is not medical, but it's gonna be and stuff. And that's, look at this girl know how to draw now and everything. So I got my little board. So I want to explain that real quick, and then I'm gonna give you the definition of diabetes. And that is, I think I'm going to go here first. So this is the A1C chart, and all the little lights and stuff that make my little skin all shiny and stuff. It's right here and stuff. So I'm gonna just let you know what it is and stuff. So right here is a normal A1C, and that will be below 5.6. If you ever heard a doctor say, I'm going to get a hemoglobin A1C, and stuff like that, that's what they're talking about. And it's a test to see where you're at in the diabetes realm of your life, and stuff like that. And everybody got to deal with it, because everybody has a pancreas. Everybody has some type of insulin that they try to secrete, do secrete, and all these other things and stuff. So you need to know this and stuff. And usually it'll be on your yearly annual. If you've never been diagnosed with diabetes, well, my hat's off to you. But there's a new diabetes called pre-diabetes, meaning you didn't already kind of crossed over, but you can correct it, and stuff, and everything and stuff. So I'll tell you about that. So the first one, okay, 6.2, Josie said and stuff, and that is 6.2 makes you what they call pre-diabetes and stuff. So now you'll see what the scale means. So the scale right here means normal is below 5.6. So that means I can still be in the fives and still got still is pushing on diabetes doors. I'm knocking. I don't want to go in and stuff, but you're gonna hear some good stuff too. So no, don't feel bad. Yes, Charlene is borderline diabetes. Yes, ma'am, and stuff. So pre-diabetes will be between 5.7. So it's 5.6 and below for normal. Pre-diabetes, that's the little tricky one. It's the new kind of diabetes and stuff. That's when you got to start correcting some stuff, or you're going into diabetes. It's just as simple as that. I didn't say you going into death. I said you going into diabetes because it's correctable. So be encouraged and stuff. So pre-diabetes is 5.7 to 6.4. And then plain old diabetes, you got diabetes, you're going to be on some metformin or, some type of glyburide or, some type of pills or something, at least to start with. And that would be 6.5 and above. So I could be in the sixes and I'm diabetic still. Well, shame, and so, okay. So it's a little frustrating and stuff, but that's what that is and stuff. And so that's one of them. And then also I have the glucose chart, and I'll go over this one a little bit later and stuff, but I just wanted to point to it. And then some risk for even getting diabetes and stuff. I'm about to read that now and stuff. So this little stuff right here, I just put it on the board because sometimes people need a little bit more entertainment than Charlene sitting on there with her head going back and forth. But yes, y'all understand. Okay, Terrellin said, I have neuropathy in the feet and it feels, oh, yes. We're going to talk about that because guess who else got neuropathy in both their feet? Okay, so I understand. I can empathize with you because I can put myself in your shoes literally because I have it too. Okay, so then over here, look at that. Look, I made a whole hand with the little finger prick, and that bad boy hurt. I know y'all know anybody that is diabetic and had to prick their finger to find out what their blood sugars are and stuff. Don't it hurt like a son of a gun? But anyway, yes, so that's it. I put a Rolex on here. Okay, it ain't a Rolex, maybe a Timex or something, but I try to do something, and stuff like that. And then it's the 3 P's of diabetes, and I'll explain those shortly and stuff. So those are cool and stuff. And I'll tell you what I got there and stuff, just in case you can't see it. And then down here, I got a little insulin pen. Oh, Josie said hers don't hurt. And Terrell said, wow, I know. This is my bread and butter, you guys, and stuff. So we're going to have some fun tonight and stuff. So you got your pills for to bring down your insulin level, your blood sugar levels and stuff like that. And then you got the needle and the old school vial, and then now they got the new pens, insulin pens, and I'll show you those shortly. This is the insulin pen. See, look, I got me some props and stuff, so I'm gonna get to it and stuff like that. Terrellin said, I remember going to the ER and they tested me. Absolutely. And they pricked your finger. Usually they go for the middle fingers, but they might get your ring finger, and it's usually supposed to be on each side. It's very special. It's very special, ladies and stuff, and gentlemen, just in case I got some gentlemen on and I don't see them yet and everything. So let me see. I don't know why it's not letting me on. Okay, because I like to see it up and close. So I'm just putting myself on so I can see all your comments and everything. Yes, and so now getting back to it. So I'm going to give you the definition of diabetes. And welcome on in, you guys and stuff. Everything is good. Yes. Um, oh, you use the Josie said she uses the pen and stuff. Do you got the blue one and the gray one, maybe, or do you just got the blue one and stuff? Let me know, Josie and stuff. And Terrellyn, you said yes, they did. Prick you right in that finger and stuff, and then put it on the little machine and it read out whatever your number is. And say you didn't eat and your number is 200, that's a special number. Whereas say you didn't eat and your number was 80 and stuff, that's a special number. That means it's excellent and stuff. So it's just a gamble of the dice because we don't know what that blood is going to do, but we know that it definitely is something that's in there. Yes, Terrellyn, right and stuff. It's in there, but this is something that we all got to deal with. And remember, one more thing I need to disclose is this is a judgment-free safe zone for you. So your comments, you're actually, you're brave enough to put them on there. Like I'm brave enough to come on and put myself on here, and stuff like that. You're brave enough to come on and tell you. So have you tried it, Miss Terrellyn? You said I know some people need peppermint and stuff. Is that something that that you've used yourself and stuff, and maybe that was something that helped bring the sugars down or something? Because I'm open to everything, because what I'll do is I can't speak on it necessarily, but I can definitely research it, and then when I'm off the live and stuff, I'll go back and answer your questions, or I'll go back and tell you something about what you said and everything and stuff, and it might clear things up. And if not, call me. Okay. And stuff. So you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and read the definition. It's called diabetes mellitus, but everybody just know it as plain old diabetes, diabetical, the sugar stuff, my bad sugar, or whatever and stuff, whatever they want to call it and stuff. And it is a chronic metabolic disorder characterized by hyperglycemia, which means too much glucose circulating around in your body, or or the defects of not secreting any, so that what it is if you have it, you can have glucose. You need glucose for energy to make your body move and stuff. And if you have too much in your body, it goes to places it's not supposed to and starts tearing down things, tearing your veins down, your arteries down and stuff. It starts making your blood sticky so that you get set up for other things like strokes and different things like that and stuff. And then there's other people that are hypoglycemic, which means their blood sugar is too low. If your blood sugar gets too low, you can go into a coma and pass away. If your blood sugar gets too high, you can go in a coma and pass away. Do you know that's how lucky we are just to be upright and standing and moving around, going to work, doing our everyday things and stuff? But if our sugar at any time is imbalanced, okay, I'll talk about it. Okay, so hyperglycemic due to defects in insulin making it, and it producing into your body and keeping glucose in check, or the insulin action, it's not strong enough to knock out all the sugar in your body and stuff like that. And then also, or both and everything. And then the other one is the anomaly, which is hypo, which means you have too much insulin secreting, so it's dropping your blood sugars down to an unsafe level. And like I said, you're darned if it's too low, you're darned if it's too high. And you got to just manipulate the middle, and everything. Everybody is manipulating the middle, whether it's food or whatever and stuff. So Josie said, I use toupee. Oh yes, I've heard of that one and stuff. So I'll talk about that one in the comments after and everything. But when you start using it was 50 units now on 15. Oh wow. So that means you had some improvement, Josie, because you said you started at 50 units and now you're on 15 units. And I'm doing well. My doctor and I should be off pretty soon. Absolutely. I knew it. I was like, wow, yes. So what you're saying is you started and they had you at such a high dose because your blood sugar was rough at a time. But now it's then came down, that A1C that I was talking about in the beginning, then came on down and stuff. Your blood sugars are starting to even out and stuff. And then you probably have to do other things like diet, change your diet. You can, you got to do all these different things to get to the good part. But that's okay. Good job, Josie. Good job. And then Terrellin says, no, I know people sugar be high and they need candy. Oh, so it makes you crave candy, but no, you don't need the candy necessarily, because it's only when it's low that you need the candy to bring it up to a normal level, because 50 is not a good blood sugar. 60 is not a good blood sugar. 70, you pushing it, because once you drop into the 60s at any time, you're still pushing it and stuff. So, and this takes a lot of pricking. Or if you're fortunate enough, I'm gonna show you the continuous glucose monitor a little bit later and stuff. But yes, that's right. And then Liddell is live now. Okay, welcome on in, Miss Liddell, and everything. And so okay, so Josie, yep, you get into the good part and stuff. And then yes. Yes. Oh, okay. Terrellin said Liddell Cummings, yes, share. I don't know what that's about, but y'all tell me and we'll figure it out. Hello, Prophet Delvon. Yes. Hey, seen you this morning. Did you hear that prophesizing that woman of God had me crying? I was crying early this morning in the upper room and everything. Yes, yes. Bless her heart. Bless your heart. I'm glad that you're doing it and stuff, because I'm getting used to praying without ceasing. Yes, and stuff. So Josie said, yeah, diet never changed, just eating less. Well, yeah, that's a change though, Josie and stuff. Give yourself credit and stuff. Y- you eat less, because when diabetes is real bad and it's not in the right range and stuff, it make you hungry. So even though your blood sugar is up a little bit and stuff like that, you get hungry, so you eat more. And then guess what? Your blood sugar, because your body converts your food to energy and stuff. It needs the blood sugar so that it's going to convert all of that. But what if you get too much energy? It ain't like, oh, and stuff like, no, it start tearing up stuff. It start going places and messing with things it's not supposed to touch, like your kidneys, like messing with your nerves and your eyes and stuff, so you could be blind and stuff like that. Welcome on in, Pastor Mayfield. Yes, so God be the glory. You right. Amen. And stuff. Yes, so getting to the good part and stuff. So it's different things and stuff. It depends on how severe it is and stuff, but it's definitely a lifestyle change. You might have always had fried chicken and stuff, and now you're gonna be converting to baked chicken or something like that. It's just simple things. Or maybe cutting out red meat and stuff. A lot of people do different things, but we gotta see. I'm gonna be doing a live on, or topic on nutrition and reading the facts on the back of your boxes of food and cans of food and stuff, so that you understand that and stuff. So all this stuff is coming and stuff. I'm so excited, because we're going to be getting to the good part. We're going to be all in the know, and these doctors going to be like, what did they learn and stuff? We're going to beat up Charlene, Nurse Charlene. Because y'all gonna know just what to come here. I want to know this. I want to know my A1C. I want to know my CBC, and I want to know my blood panel and my Kim 7, and and all of this stuff. You gonna go in there, and they gonna be like, "What is wrong with him or her?" and stuff. Where did she get this information, or he get this information from? And just be ready for them and stuff. They need to know, because it's time to work, doctors. It's time to work. Our people is coming in. I'm gonna be shipping them on into you, and they're gonna be asking all the right questions, and they ain't gonna leave there without a question unanswered. Demand it. It's your right. It's your medical and your life right and stuff. Josie says, where doctors tell everyone different scales, what there should be. My doctor don't want me no lower than 90 and no higher than 150. I never get high, but sometimes low, but I always help my eyes on the sugar. Yes. So what you're saying is all the doctors like Kaiser might have a different scale from say Sutter Health and Stanford or UCSF. All these different hospitals, they have different, but they're about the same range. So it's not an exact science, and stuff like that. It's just like with blood pressure. They want you at 120 over 80, or something like that. And then, if you go a little bit higher, a little bit lower, it get all crazy and all misconstrued and everything and stuff. But that's a part of what's happening with you and everything. So I get what you're saying and stuff, but stick to what the doctor says, because he knows your body best. He knows your body mass index, which is how much overweight or underweight you are, or different things like that. So that's why he's tweaking it to that, and stuff. And the doctor, I might come into your same doctor, and he's my doctor now and stuff, and then he might tell me something totally different from you, by according to how I eat and according to how I process things and what I like and what he knows he might not be able to get me off of. If I'm on soda and stuff, well, can you reduce the soda down, and stuff? Whereas you might drink the water and drink the, the 100% fruit juices. So you see how that it's a matter of tweaking it and stuff. But that's why the doctor needs to know you. Like in my podcast disclaimer at the beginning, I said so that they know you and your history and your family history, because all that plays a role. So that when he talks to you, he's going to tell you this for you, but then turn around and tell your daughter, your beautiful daughter, by the way, Josie, he might tell her something totally different. But that's my daughter. But yeah, that's your daughter. That's not you, and stuff like that. So they'll change them, change the different things around and stuff. So Pastor Mayfield said, that's what we are paying them. Yeah, okay. So Pastor Mayfield said, that's what we are paying them for, is proper treatment. That's absolutely right. But guess what? They can't give you proper treatment if you don't tell them nothing. You got to tell. And what's my word? Not too short. And so what's my favorite word? Your body is a snitch. And you better believe it. That's what I added to your body is a snitch. You better, not you better believe it, just believe it. Meaning it's going to tell on you. So you don't have to look to the left or the right. Your body knows itself. So if it's telling on you, then that means it knows you more than you know you. And stuff, because it's telling, because it can see the innermost insides of you. So when it's telling you exactly, Pastor Mayfield, your body is a snitch and stuff. Terrellin said, amen, because we got these doctors, Dr. Giggles and stuff, and they're not doing the proper research. They're not doing the proper research, but they're also, we got to, like I told you, you got to help me help you. Help yourself. You got to help that doctor help you help yourself. But you got to come with some facts for him. When you get in that doctor's office, whatever it might be and stuff, okay, you might have the flu or something like that and stuff. That's okay. That's basic stuff. But I'm saying, as you go into the doctor and stuff, you got to tell them that you got a family history of Parkinson's. You got to tell them you got a family history. Your great grandmother had dementia. If you can, dig that deep, you got to tell them your uncle passed of high blood pressure. Your auntie passed of low blood pressure, and stuff like that. They got to have something to work with, because they can't help you. They can't help you. Welcome to Medical Talk in Layman's Terms with Nurse Charlene. The topic tonight is diabetes. Come on in. Y'all getting down now. Y'all got me pumped up and everything. Josie says, I do tell them I drink and drink soda and I like to be honest on absolutely. How can they help you if you don't tell them? You got to shoot. I smoke a little weed. Sometimes take cough syrup and I don't have a cough. I'll be trying to put myself to sleep. You ain't giving me the medicine, whatever it might be. You got to be, yeah, you got to let them work for you. Let them work for you. You don't have to say, you the slave and I'm the master or nothing like that. And my insurance pay you, Alameda Alliance or Kaiser pay you, and stuff. You don't have to be mean and stuff, but yeah, let them work, and then you know what? It'll be so much respect. Do you know that, I've had the same nurse practitioner. So she's only a degree away from me, what I am and stuff, for 20 years. 20 years. So guess what I do? I make her job easy. We don't have to go through a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, I let her check me out and stuff. I ain't too good for the check up and check out and stuff like that. But I let her help me by saying, yeah, I had a stomach ache and stuff. I haven't been able to, do the number 2 for a couple days and stuff like that. I like to know what's going on with that, and stuff like that. You got to tell them, I got a couple loose teeth and stuff like that. Well, we got to get you to the doctor, to the dentist, Charlene, and stuff. I got this going on and stuff. And why is my stomach so fat? And stuff. How we gonna get to the bottom of that and stuff? Do I need a tummy tuck, or you gonna help me to do the right exercise or whatever it is? You got to be so frank with them and let them know you so well that they come in. How's this happening? Carolyn, how's your feet? Do you still got pins and needles in them? So that they're automatically asking you. Let them help you and stuff. They helping their families. They helping they mothers and fathers and cousins and whoever else call them, and stuff. Why they can't help you and you giving them insurance money, and stuff like that and stuff. So definitely just be honest. And that was good, Josie. And Carolyn, she said, because they tried to tell you about your body. Yeah, how they gonna tell you about your body and you living in it? They see you once every, couple months or something like that, sometimes more than that and everything and stuff. But how they gonna tell you? They don't know what you've been through. They don't know if you came from a mighty long way and now you here, and stuff like that. You started from the bottom with no food and no nutrition, and now you got it like that where you doing stuff. So how do you get to the other side, and stuff? You got to tell them. Yes, Carolyn, that's right. And stuff. So I just want to because we're talking about diabetes and stuff, I want to tell you a couple things about the types of diabetes. There's type 1 diabetes and stuff, and I'll talk about that in detail. I'm just going to tell you the different classifications. There's the type 2 diabetes, and I'll tell you about that one also. Then there's another type of diabetes that's called gestational diabetes. Gestational means during pregnancy. And so during your gestations of, 1, 2, and 3 trimesters and stuff like that. So that's during the pregnancy time when a woman is pregnant and stuff. So yes, this doesn't refer to men, but it does refer to your wife, and stuff like that and everything. And while they're pregnant and stuff. So you got to pay attention also. Because sometimes if they have the gestational diabetes, you probably don't want to get them a full half pint of ice cream. They might just need the little tiny Haagen-Dazs, or something like that when you're trying to treat them and stuff like that. They might not need a full box of popsicles with all that sugar in them, and stuff like that and everything. But I got some myths for you. So that's another good thing. But those are, and then there's some other kinds of diabetes and everything and stuff. But we're gonna skip those for time's sake and everything, because then this can go down a rabbit hole that I can't come back from and everything and stuff. So I'm just gonna explain the types and everything. And so there's a type 1 diabetes, and I think I want to do a simpler one. Let me see. So this one, so type 1 They used to call it juvenile diabetes, but it's basically childhood or childhood or adolescence, and that means that it's 18 and below, and then childhood is, like your, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old and stuff like that. So it's in that little area range, and stuff. And this is when they usually manifest, and you can tell that it is indeed juvenile, childhood, adolescent diabetes and everything. And it's a genetic thing when it comes down to this type of diabetes. And the thing that triggers it is environmental and viral infections. So if the mother was sick in utero and stuff like that, and had something going on and stuff, this is where you can find this type of diabetes and stuff. Is usually on a young person. So they're like, I've been going through diabetes my whole life. And the rough part about this one is you're insulin resistant, and they call it an autoimmune disease. It's an autoimmune type of disorder and stuff. Type 1 diabetes, the baby diabetes, we call it sometimes, and everything. And it's because your body destroys your beta cells that are responsible for producing the hormone insulin. Insulin is a hormone. Insulin, when it's secreted right, you don't have no diabetes, you ain't got no pre-diabetes, you ain't got nothing. You're doing good. You don't know nothing about no diabetes. But when it happens so early in life, and they haven't even got to the good part of anything and stuff, that's when this one is most destructive, because the kids don't know that, our kids they eat chicken McNuggets and all of that stuff. And somebody with this kind of thing, they got to eat like an older person that had to make lifestyle changes, because they got to try to fix it, and stuff like that, because their body is not producing it. And all the good insulin hormone secretor cells, they're called beta cells and stuff, they're getting destroyed. So they don't have nothing to tame, the glucose. So then it's too much glucose. And then I'll tell you about that. Glucose is very destructive if it's not under submission by insulin. If it's not caught up and put in check by insulin, it's going to tear you up and tear you down and probably take your life at a very early age. So it's that bad. And it's very serious. And like I said, it's genetic, and usually something that might have happened while, what they call in utero, while the woman was pregnant, and maybe had a sickness or something like that, or some underlying disease. Or you can pass it on to your child if you had it, and then you give birth, and stuff, and the child could come down with it. So that's one. Type 2 diabetes. So I just did one. Now, type 2 diabetes, it's just insulin resistance. And this is over time and stuff. And the typical onset of this is when you reach your 40s, and stuff. 40s or greater, usually. But nowadays, we're so spoiled. We got so much stuff out there, and stuff. All these things. I was talking about boba tea. I am not hating on boba tea, because I actually like it. And I still sneak me a little something, here and there. But I'm saying this to say that certain things that we eat, that are unnatural, kind of man-made type of, items and stuff like that. That's where that comes in at and stuff. And it's starting to increasingly, it's more prevalent now, meaning it's starting to really come out that is now in youth, because they got what is it, hot Cheetos with a slab of the cheese that we don't even know what kind of cheese. I don't think it come from a cow, and stuff like that. And then you got your nachos and big old giant burritos this big, the like a log, a telephone pole of a burrito and stuff like that. And we got marijuana, and it's an appetite increaser, and stuff like that. So we smoke, and then we, and stuff like, okay, I'm just saying, let's keep it real because it's happening. Whether we say something or not, I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna tell you now. I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna tell. I'm gonna tell and stuff. So risk factors: obesity, obesity, and we see obesity more now than ever. We sitting behind a computer at home in the convenience of our own home. Some people never leave their computer. They could do their work on there. They could work from remote and stuff and all this stuff. And what they ain't doing, getting outside, getting no exercise, no fresh air, and all of this stuff. So obesity, uh, it's called sedentary lifestyle and stuff. No exercise or barely any, and stuff. The biggest exercise, getting up from this chair and going in there and fixing me something to eat, and stuff like that, and then sitting back in the chair, maybe taking a nap because I just work so hard looking at the computer and scrolling. And so you see, so, and it's no pun intended on the person that works remote from home and stuff. A lot of people have to do what they got to do, and stuff. What I'm trying to say is, because I don't want to offend anybody or, at all and stuff, by just telling you and getting to the good part and stuff. What I'm saying is sedentary lifestyles. There's family history. My uncle had it, my auntie had it, my grandfather had it, my father had it, my mother had it, my sisters, my brothers, and stuff like that, my cousins, and stuff. um it just runs in the family, and stuff like that, and it might get every other generation. So it might skip your generation and get somebody else's and stuff. But these are some reasons. And then also ethnicity. And they say that unfortunately, African Americans come in top tier. And not because I'm African American and stuff. I'm saying they just come in top tier as some of the people with the highest rates of diabetes, and stuff. It could be poverty stricken and everything and stuff, because Latinos come in right under African American, and so on and so forth, and everything and stuff. And it just depends on what your lifestyle is, what you eat, what type of things we have. Everybody has that certain thing, and stuff like that, like those big at home pound cakes and stuff like that. So I'm not see, I got to give you the myths and stuff real soon and stuff. But anyway, those are some of the things: ethnicity, obesity, sedentary lifestyle, which means a lazy lifestyle, no exercise or anything productive and stuff. And then the progression, it's gradual. That's why it's pre-diabetes. And then guess what? It's called you convert. So you convert into becoming this. First you was just a trainee, now you're an FBI agent. Faster blood sugar. No, okay. But anyway, I'm saying all of that to say that it's just that quick and stuff, no joke and stuff. So then you got gestational. So I told you this is for the pregnant women, but it's also for the men whose women are pregnant. Woman is pregnant and stuff like that. You both got to go through this and stuff because you want to be good to her. Valentine's Day, you got that box of chocolate. It might just have to be some strawberries with no chocolate on them, and stuff like that. Because it's all these different things and stuff. But if it's so much of it, and stuff like that, oh, if I got her this and stuff, or I got her that, and if I got him this and got him that, because remember, it's an equal opportunity disorder or issue, diabetes. It don't care if you a man or a woman. It just care that you a human being and they get to ride you and trash your system. So it doesn't care at all and stuff. So then with gestational diabetes, they give you this, I don't know for the ladies if you've ever remembered having a glucose tolerance test. And that's where they take this stuff stuff. Usually it used to me, it kind of reminded me of Sprite on steroids because it was so sugary and stuff. And you drink it down, and then they wait a minute, like maybe I guess maybe 30 minutes or something, to wait for you to see what your body is gonna do while you're pregnant and stuff. So your baby is already taking things from you and stuff. That's why you need your prenatal vitamins and your folic acids and your iron and all of that stuff, because the baby is going to take what they got to get to survive. They don't know nothing else, but their body is a snitch. It's taking whatever it needs from the host, and stuff, regardless. I know childbirth is beautiful and stuff like that, but the baby getting theirs, no matter what and everything. So Miss Josie said, when I was diagnosed with sarcoidosis, I know what that is. In 1984, I was told that I was going to be a diabetic later in life, and it happened in the 90s, and I didn't. This was connected. You didn't know it was connected. Absolutely, that's what the when they tell you that and stuff, that's because most people will what they call convert. And so yours is by a genetic genome, and stuff like that, by having sarcoidosis and stuff like that, which thrust you in there because it's a fluid thing and stuff. I will put it in the comments and stuff after Josie and stuff, but definitely that's what I'm talking about and stuff. I know exactly what you're talking about and stuff, but in order to explain it better and stuff, I'm gonna put it in the comments and stuff. But that was an excellent testimonial on that, definitely, and stuff. So then what did I want to go to? Oh, okay. Yes. Who want to hear some symptoms of diabetes that you probably didn't even know that you could have been walking around with as a pre-diabetic, meaning you haven't crossed over yet? And so I said that to say that Josie said earlier in the live and stuff, she said that her hemoglobin A1C was 6.2. And then I was telling you the A1C that made her pre-diabetic, because it's below 5.6 in order to be non-diabetic, perfectly non-diabetic and stuff. So this is what ends up happening is what I want to say about the symptoms and stuff like that is these are things that happen, but they happen during pre-diabetes. This is where you haven't started any oral anti diabetic medicines and stuff, but then also nothing else, and stuff. You haven't even started pricking your finger to find out what your sugar is. These are some classic symptoms of diabetes that you probably didn't even know you had and stuff. We blame so many other things. I'm going through this. I got menopause. That's why I'm sweating. And it really is something else. And watch when I tell you. I got to tell you better than I can show you and stuff. Is the 3 P's. Polydipsia. It means poly means many, a lot, excessive. So dipsia means thirst. So I put some little water drops and stuff because I'm saying you're thirsty. You can't get enough of water. You fill your belly up, and stuff of water. Yeah, that ain't that supposed to heal you? Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't and stuff. But what I'm saying is you're thirsty, excessive thirsty. You want to check that out. Do you know that's your body snitching? I'm not saying your body is a snitch because I want to sound cute or something like that and stuff. Your body is snitching. It just said it's polydipsia, excessive thirst, meaning you can't get enough of liquids to the point of waterlogging, and you might even have to throw up. I've had that happen to me before. And guess what my A1C was? 6.4. So no, that's not the highest thing you can ever come down with. But what I'm trying to say is I was well into my pre-diabetes, on my way to convert to diabetes. You see what I'm saying? and stuff. But I'm just like, oh, I'm just hot boxing. I don't know if anybody ever heard that word and stuff. Hot boxing meaning you just thirsty. You know, you took a hot bath and stuff, and now you get out and all that sweat makes you thirsty and stuff. So you start drinking and drinking and drinking, and then you over drink because you can't get enough. And then you end up waterlogging yourself because you got a stomach full of water, just bloop, 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 bloop. Bloop, 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 you know, from each side and stuff. And this is man or woman. So this is the equal opportunity lender here and stuff. And so that's one. It's 3 P's. The next one is polyphagia. And that is poly. I told you that's excessive. And then phagia is to eat. So I put the little Pac-Man. Let me see. Yeah, I put the little Pac-Mans right here and stuff. Remember how they used to, you know, the Atari and stuff, and the Pac-Man eat up all the little dots and everything and stuff. That's you with polyphagia, excessive hunger. So not just excessive eating, but excessive hunger. You can't, you having seconds, you having thirds, you might have fourths and fifths. You eating until you're over full. We only supposed to eat until we're satisfied, until our stomach stops growling or our stomach start, you know, making that sound and stuff like that. But you see what I'm saying? So it's excessive hunger. So your blood sugar is going up and stuff, and you hungry. You ain't supposed to eat and your blood sugar is up. You know what I'm saying? It's climbing. And then you eat, it's gonna climb some more. And okay. So we're going to leave that one alone. So that's polyphagia. One more of the 3 P's of diabetes. Welcome to Medical Talk in Layman's Terms with Nurse Charlene. And the topic is diabetes. And we get into the good part. And that would be the last but not least, polyuria. I got to go to the bathroom. I got to pee. I can't stop peeing. I don't know how I'm making all this pee and stuff. Oh, my God. Oh, my goodness. Yes. Yeah. So Pastor Mayfield said, wow, with blood pressure, you need water. Yes. That's what they do. Like you go into the doctor's office, you test and your blood, I mean, they take your blood pressure and it's a little high, you know, 147 over 89, you know, or something. That's high. And so they like, okay, you're calm. Like, why your blood pressure high? Well, sometimes it could be just a reaction to, I got a headache. I had a headache all day. It won't go away, you know, and stuff like that. Or you frustrated. I ran up all them stairs to get here to get on to my doctor's appointment on time. That's another thing. But what if it's just because you just walked in, you waited for your turn, you went in there and your blood pressure high? Are you worried? If that ain't it and stuff, then they probably gonna do it again before you leave. So they might say, would you like some water? I think you should have a bottle of water, you know, and stuff, and you can sip on it while you see the doctor. Okay, and then they take it one more time before you leave, and hopefully it drops back down. But if it doesn't and stuff, then they might start looking at other things and schedule you another appointment. So that's where that comes from. Okay, going back to polyuria. I got a pee. So I put 2 bathroom doors right here. Bathroom door. What's behind door number 1 or number 2? Or you got to do number 2 or number 1. But anyway, polyuria, the urine, number 1 and stuff. So those are the 3 P's of diabetes. Don't they seem simple? You know, your body snitching. It's telling. Are you going to listen? Okay. Another classic symptom of diabetes that you might, you know, be getting it or coming down with it is actually weight loss in the type 1, because you can't, everything you put in turn into sugar and destroy you, you know, and stuff like that. So then you tend to back off from food. You don't really, because a grape or even a piece of lettuce will turn into some type of sugar for you. So it's not funny at all and stuff. But I'm saying it's like, gosh, you know, and stuff like, I can't do nothing. I can't eat nothing. then food becomes an enemy, and then you start losing weight because you don't want to eat, because every time it's a problem. Every time I eat anything, it's a problem. I'm trying to eat right, it's a problem. No, you just got to start learning how to manage it to get to the good part, because you can still live a long, drawn out life and everything and stuff, with or without it, with diabetes or without. So it's not your death sentence unless you let it get that far and you never check it, you never listen to the snitch, which is your body, and stuff like that. Then hey, it's gonna do what it do, with or without your help, and stuff. It's gonna do it. It's gonna destroy it and take everything with it, or it's gonna do what it has to do and everything. Welcome on in, Miss Whitney and stuff. Pastor Mayfield says, what does it mean when you are swelling big feet all the time? Well, that is some other conditions and stuff, but one of them is caused by diabetes. Too much blood sugar, like I said, it don't stay in its lane. So it's messing with your heart. It's messing with your bloodline. It's messing with your veins. It's messing with your, everything. It tears up your lungs. Like I said, it can blind you and all of this stuff. It's doing all this stuff to you. Diabetes. You see how mean it is? It don't mind its own business and worry about that insulin, putting it in check, and stuff. It's trying to touch everything it can. Oh, they ain't there. Insulin ain't there. Well, I'm about to go take me a stroll down here and there and tear up all this stuff. And so that's where I want to bring this in and stuff. Some facts and stuff. A global impact on diabetes. It affects over 500 million people worldwide, not just United States, worldwide. It affects all these people and stuff. That's for one. It is the major cause of heart disease. Heart disease has something to do with Pastor Mayfield's question of concern for someone whose feet are always swelling and everything and stuff. You might want to get that A1C checked if they are not diagnosed with diabetes, because diabetes is one of the factors. But also because the reason why it's one of the factors, because it doesn't stay in its lane. So it's going to mess with all your veins and everything, causing the blood to thicken and all types of different things and stuff. And then when a person starts to fill with different fluids and stuff like that, and have fluid volume overload and different things like that, because all of this stuff is all connected. Blood pressure, diabetes, stroke, heart attack. A stroke is actually a brain attack. A heart attack attacks the heart, and wherever it attacks the heart, it kills the heart right there, and you never get that part of your heart back. So it's impaired now and stuff. Stroke is a brain attack, and it attacks that heart. If it gets on that part of that brain and stuff, it attacks that brain, and then that brain dies right there. And every time they do a CT scan and scan your brain and stuff like that, they're going to always see that scar. It leave a scratch, a Freddy Krueger scratch on there. And then you have another stroke and you lucky to live through it and stuff. And then boom. Yes. So Pastor Mayfield says she has diabetes. I figured that, and stuff. But that's how the doctor does and stuff. So what I just did is what the doctor will do and stuff like that. I didn't say I was a doctor. I said what I just did by gathering information, but you got to give it up, and stuff like that. Then that's what happens. And so, yes, that's probably one of the reasons. If we could get the diabetes all the way in check, I'm talking about all the way, like Josie was able to get her blood sugar in check to the point where it's much better now, to where she will be coming off the medications and stuff like that. That would have to be the same way for this young lady and stuff. If she has diabetes, that's the reason why her feet are swelling, not from the simple diabetes, but what diabetes does to the rest of your body. Okay, so Pastor Mayfield said now she's having toe issues and now losing toenails. Okay. So I'm going to come back to that, Pastor Mayfield. That is excellent, because that's where I'm at right now. Now listen to what I'm saying. Major causes diabetes is the major cause of heart disease. So remember I said the heart, and that's your circulation. The heart pumps the blood up to your brain and down to all the way to your baby toe, and stuff like that. So you have those problems and stuff. And then also it's a major cause of stroke because it's making the blood sticky. So it's grabbing cholesterol and all of that on the way. And then guess what you got? A clot. A clot is a setup for a stroke, because as soon as a little piece of that dislodge, it gets somewhere inside your brain or something like that, and now you have a stroke. There go your stroke. It's a blood clot, and then it worked its way loose eventually after it then clogged up your arteries and stuff like that. And then it worked its way a little piece of loose from even down below your leg and stuff like that. And then it makes its way up to your brain and stuff and does that to you and stuff. So you see where all this stuff is a big wow. It's very special and stuff. It also causes kidney failure. Well, how do we get the fluid out of our bodies? Our kidney washes our blood, and all the dirt and byproduct is urine. And that's why we have to pee and push it out and stuff. And if we don't pee, we become bloated and big and stuff, and then we die, and stuff. So you see where all this is going and stuff like that. And it's all behind diabetes. But diabetes is not by itself. It got some other little kingpins like high blood pressure and all of those things. And then it becomes a perfect storm and stuff, if that makes sense to you guys and stuff. Also, not only kidney failure, but blindness. So all this stuff, all this little blah, 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 blah right there and stuff. That's all that is and everything and stuff. Hey, Antoinette, it's okay and stuff. You're going to have to watch the replay, so I ain't going to be able to be going back and forth with you and stuff, and everything once I get off. But I'm going to stay on a little bit extra, just about 15 minutes, maybe less and stuff. But definitely, you'll always get to watch the replay. And also remember to like, tag, and share. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel, because it's actually streaming to YouTube as we speak. As I'm talking to you and stuff, is streaming live on YouTube at the same time. And that is the YouTube channel is Medical Talk in Layman's Terms with Nurse Charlene. You look that up on YouTube and stuff, and you'll find me, and you'll find tonight's topic and everything and stuff. So it's a good way to go back and forth and stuff. Yes, my niece Whitney, thank you for coming on. You said, yes, it's great information. Bless your heart. Thank you. And yes, Tony, yes, you come on in, you watch the replay also and everything and stuff. So I'm going to just do some fun facts and stuff, and then I'm going to kind of end it and stuff. But you know what? It looks like y'all need another little power play. So I'm going to have to come back with part 2 and give y'all some real hitters, and stuff like that. And that would be common myths about blood sugar. So watch when y'all hear these, you're gonna be like, oh my goodness, this is a trip. But the myth: eating sugar causes diabetes. If you eat sugar, you're gonna have diabetes. Sugar doesn't directly cause diabetes. This is the truth. It doesn't directly cause diabetes. It's about overall diet and lifestyle. Meaning you can't just be sitting up. You got to have your exercise. You got to do all of this stuff, in order to get to the other side and stuff. But also, it's the diet. It's what we eat. Of course, we can't eat a whole cake for just one sitting, and stuff like that. It got to be a little bit of both, a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But changing from fried foods every once in a while, instead of every single day. I fried my chicken, I fried my steak, I fried my fish, I fried, and stuff like that. You got to kind of give it a break, and stuff, and spread it out and everything. Thank you, Pastor Mayfield. She said, thank you so much. And Whitney said, amen, Auntie. That's right. Amen, niece. And Josie said, yes. No, Josie said no and stuff. Josie, tell me what you said no about, so I'll know and everything and stuff. But sugar does not cause diabetes. It's the excessive eating of sugar, just like salt does not cause high blood pressure. It's eating beyond your daily value of salt that causes blood pressure eventually and stuff. And that's, it's in everything. So that's why I'm going to do a live on nutrition and how to read the facts on the back, so you know what a serving size is and what it really means and stuff. It's going to blow your mind. So also a myth: only overweight people get diabetes. Big fat people get diabetes. Yeah. Thin people can also have type 2 diabetes. They eat, but their metabolism is so fast that they just process it faster. But that don't mean that they're eating healthy. So guess what? They're not immune to this and stuff. So a skinny person or somebody that's more than their body weight, body mass index, can have the same thing and stuff. It's not just big fat people or whatever they want to call it and stuff. No, it's not and stuff. Some people that are larger or obese, and stuff, and that right and stuff, could not have diabetes at all, or even the A1C, of higher than the 5.6. So they can have a normal A1C and still have diabetes, and still not have diabetes and stuff, and have a high obesity rate. So then also people with diabetes can't eat carbs. Yes, we can. We need carbs to turn into energy so that we can move one foot in front of the other. We absolutely need some carbs, and stuff like that. So people with diabetes can't eat carbs. That is not the truth. That's a myth. They can eat, but in moderation. That's why they do carb counting, so that they can eat a certain amount. They get a certain amount to put in their bank, and stuff like that. So that's not true that if you're diabetic, you can't eat carbs. You got to, you'll die probably, and stuff. You'll never eat a fruit. Fruit has natural sugar. Yeah, it's not true. Okay, and then another myth: insulin is the cure for diabetes. And then who makes the insulin? And how is it the cure if your body is not making the insulin? Then how can it cure diabetes? And you got to depend on this pen to get through all your meals and stuff like that. That's not true. It's a myth. Insulin is not a cure. Insulin manages blood sugar. It whips it into shape so that you don't go into a diabetic coma, and stuff, from having a blood sugar that's too high. Yes. And stuff. Pastor Mayfield said, I will check in with the person that's having those issues. Absolutely, because there's some things that she's going to have to tell her doctor that will help her get at least managed, so that we're not losing limbs or toes and everything, because that's what diabetes is. It's a cold-blooded character. Why should I have to lose my foot or my ankle or all the way? It's a thing called BKA and AKA. One is above the knee amputation. That means you have no more knee once they cut that leg off. That's above the knee. And then there's a BKA, below the knee amputation, where they go below your kneecap, and you might have part like the upper part of your calf, but only a piece of it. And then the rest of it has to go because it's gangrene, which is that's when your foot dies. There's no more blood circulation and everything. And then it starts smelling like a rotted body and stuff like that. And you'll know it, and stuff. And it's no joke. So yes, definitely she would have to check into that, so that she's managing her blood pressure, her blood sugar, and everything else in between and stuff, in order to get to a manageable and healthy her. And if that makes sense. And then Josie said, I was told to eat 15 carbs per meal. Yes, and stuff, because 15 carbs, I'll tell you my nutrition one and stuff, the carbs turn into a certain calories turn into carbs and stuff. and carbs are nothing but what our body uses to uh fire energy into our muscles and everything. We need it for everything, to blink our eyes, to wave, to move my arm around, to wave our hands, to move our head, everything, to put one foot in front of the other and walk, and stuff like that. So you see where all of this is making sense and everything. So that's where this comes from. And then a last myth that I got, fun facts and stuff, is diabetes isn't serious. It ain't really serious. Like cancer is serious, but diabetes ain't that serious. That is a myth. It is absolutely serious. It's life-threatening serious. But I'm not telling you that you will die from it. I'm telling you you can, but I'm not telling you you could die for it. I'm telling you you can manage it and live for years and years past other people that might not have anything. It just it's bad, and stuff like that and stuff. And so with the truth about diabetes, and the myth is it's not that serious, but the truth is it can lead to life-threatening complications if unmanaged. Meaning if you don't touch it, if you don't um manage it, you don't tell on it, because it's snitching. You're gonna be sweaty, you're gonna have the salty mouth, you're gonna be, just for no reason and stuff, you're gonna be dizzy, your eyes gonna get blurry, all this stuff is happening and stuff. That's diabetes. That's diabetes up close and personal. It's talking to you, it's getting with you, and stuff like that. So that's serious and everything and stuff. So I'm gonna end with some of your complications of diabetes and stuff. Hypoglycemia, that's a low blood sugar. It's so low because it's not managed correctly and stuff, that it's so low that, like I said, it can put you in a coma. Yes, absolutely, Josie. You said, I know many people are in denial. Yes, it's not shun, just because you have like leprosy or something like that and stuff, or what I'm saying. It's not something like, oh my God, she has diabetes, something's wrong with her. No, some people got mental health. Did that make them a terrible person? Some people got other things, blood pressure problems. Did that make them a terrible person? No, no. What's the problem is not getting it fixed. And then people see you and you traumatize your family because you die from it. Your blood sugar is 1,500. I didn't see people get up to there. That means you're past death. You didn't already died a couple times and stuff. And then you're in the ICU on the insulin drip until they can bring it down. And then it never is the same. Your body is never the same. It destroys you. It takes out your kidneys. It takes out your heart. It takes out your lungs. It's touching everything. It takes your eyes out. It will blind you. It will give you a stroke, a bleeding stroke, blind you and kill you, and stuff. That's how bad diabetes is. So it's serious. But if you manage it, my God, and stuff, you could get to the other side. So the other con about diabetes is hyperglycemia. That's when it's King Kong. It's tearing up. It's Godzilla. It's going in there. It's destroying every and anything around. Yes, and stuff. Long-term complications. So Pastor Mayfield, long-term complications, just in case you're still on, if not, catch it on the live and everything, is cardiovascular disease. I told you. So it's messing with your blood pressure. It's messing with your arteries. And all these arteries feed into your heart. So destroying your heart, making it work harder and stuff. It's setting you up for a stroke, and stuff that you might not survive, and stuff like that. Also, kidney damage. If you ain't got your cleaners, y'all heard of dialysis? So if you destroy your kidneys, what happens? Diabetes destroys your kidneys. So if it destroys your kidneys, how do you urinate? It stops you from urinating and stuff. Then next thing you know, you're in there with a machine being your blood cleaner for you, and stuff. So and then that's a whole nother animal of problems. So that's how serious diabetes is. I told you this is my bread and butter and stuff. Then the eye damage, and it's called neuropathy. It's damaging your eye nerves. So neuropathy just means a disease of a certain nerve. You got you got feet nerves, you got eye nerves, you got jaw nerves and different nerves. You got spinal nerves, pinch nerves, sciatic nerve, and all of these different nerves and stuff. So all of that's all a part of it. Guess what diabetes do? Then I say it don't stay in its lane. Why is you all down here at the sciatic nerve messing with that? Why are you at my feet messing with my feet? Causing diseases and problems and nerve damage in my feet. Why are you doing that? Why are you touching these things? And stuff like that. Why are you destroying everything? Because it ain't got nothing to do. It needs insulin to put it in shape and whip it in shape so that it can stay in check and stop destroying your body and stuff. It's that serious and stuff. And so I needed to get this out. So I got a birthday, you guys, and stuff. Any other time I jump on off and stuff like that, unless I made a mistake like last week and stuff where the mic wasn't working. But I'm saying this to say that this is serious and stuff. So I said the nerve damage of the eye, because you got nerves in your eye, but you also got nerves, cranial nerves. You got all these nerves in your spine and your central nervous system that has to do with your brain and all of that stuff. And it's damaging them. No nerve is safe, from diabetes. So that's why you have to have the insulin and have that balance so that you're not destroying it with all that sugar rolling around, because blood is everywhere in your body and stuff. So if that's starting to make sense for you and stuff, and that's where we got the foot problem, neuropathy, which I'm a victim of in both feet. Mine did come. It wasn't diabetic neuropathy. It was actually a COVID related neuropathy, which a lot of people are finding out all these problems that you got are coming from COVID too. That's why I'm going to do another live on COVID and stuff, because we need to know that it left some packages behind. COVID, it might have got you, it might not have got you that good or whatever and stuff, but it left some packages behind. Like, remember me? Yeah, I'm not even gone, and stuff. You still could get a vaccine, if you want to and stuff. We're gonna be doing the one on that too and stuff. So you see what I'm saying? I'm about to be an equal opportunity informational giver and everything. Yes, Tony said, I know it's off the subject, but happy birthday, Auntie Rosetta Granny Allen. That's right. In the beginning, Tony, I did give a shout out. She has 72 years around the sun, or rotations around the earth and everything and stuff. And that's a big feat to accomplish, just that alone and stuff. And anybody else, I tell them God bless you, and stuff, because you got that 72-year-old heart, them 72-year-old hips and bones and everything and stuff, them 72-year-old ears and eyes and nose and mouth and everything and stuff. But with management, we can all get to the good part. So before I end, I just want to say a healthy diet, regular exercise, maintaining a healthy weight, the healthiest you can do. And you got to take baby steps sometime and stuff. You didn't get it all at once. You was a little tiny baby. You was only 8 or 9 pounds or something. Now you're 200 pounds or 300 pounds or whatever, you might be 150 pounds and stuff. So just remember, go easy on yourself, because you only get your one body. What, you going to destroy it? It's supposed to be your temple, and stuff like that. So when you find out that you might be pre-diabetic, I would start monitoring, because guess what? Somebody went from a 6.4, which is pre-diabetes, to a 5.7. I almost got it. So you see, I didn't convert for years now. 4 years. 4 years. I was, I got, 6.1, and then 6.2, then 6.3, back down to 6.2, then all the way up to 6.4. I was like, oh, okay, I'm gone. and stuff. And then it converted and went back down to a 5.7. I didn't say it was going to stay there, but with diet, exercise, and research and stuff, I still like cake. I still like cookies. I still like a little soda, and stuff like that. But with manageable exercise and trying to do something right for yourself, you can get to the good part and stuff. Make sure you educate yourself and get on here. You can get a little education from me. I am a licensed professional. So even though I said that in my podcast disclaimer, yeah, go to your doctor. I ain't your doctor, and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, a licensed professional will help you the most and everything. But you can take a little bit from what I got and stuff, take it to your doctor and weigh it with what they got, what they saying and stuff like that, and then get you a little middle management in between to get to the good side and everything. So diabetes is manageable but serious. Early detection and lifestyle choices can prevent or delay complications, delay converting to diabetes. Break the myths. Knowledge is power. So I gave you all them myths. I bet you didn't hear them. Guess what? I didn't either. So guess what? I'm a whole nurse and I didn't hear half that stuff. I thought sugar do actually give you diabetes. It don't. It's excessive sugar, constant sugar, pouring it into your mouth, pouring it into your mouth. But sometimes substance use disorder plays a role, like certain things you drink, alcoholic beverages. I'm sorry, but alcoholic beverages, as well as can mess with your blood sugar, as well as other substances like you smoking weed and stuff. But then you get hungry and you get the munchies. You about to tear up anything in the kitchen, and you probably gonna eat too much instead of just enough to get you by. You gonna eat too much. You gonna have a second and a third helping and stuff. You still hungry? It's past your bedtime. You supposed to be asleep and you hungry and stuff. Watch your signs because your body is a snitch. Believe it. Thank you guys. You take care. I love it. Miss Josie, I want to make sure I say this. Uh Me too. I still eat my sweets, but I'm still taking care of myself. Absolutely. That is the key, that you still taking care of yourself even when you eat your sweets and stuff and you're getting to the good side. And like I said, your body is a snitch. Believe it. The best snitch you'll ever have. It'll keep you alive and they don't get stitches. Bye, you guys. Y'all take care. Thanks for tuning in, and look out for your comments and everything and stuff, because I go behind the live when I get off and I answer your questions and anything that was, still hanging out and everything and stuff. Thank you to Cousin Tony and stuff. You guys are good and stuff. And remember, watch the replay if you missed anything, or even if you was here for the whole thing and stuff. Go back and watch the replay. It might give you some more stuff that you want to arm yourself with. And I'll let you know what's the next topic and everything, because sometimes it's subject to change due to the availability of information and stuff like that. So that's okay. Y'all take care. I send my love. Bye-bye. Yes.